can't do that. So I just softened it a bit.
And I'm not sure, maybe it was just in script form. That's what he felt. I didn't see it, so he was saying there was actually...
Right. That was the day that Eric got the leaf in his eye, do you remember?
Really?
Yeah. Well, you know, we did that thing where he's up there, you're both fighting. You were both on those two bits. And
this makes acting sound really poncy, folks, but...
It's in the eye of harmony, and you had your eyes up like that. And I said, well, let's blow a few leaves in. And Eric said, well, will this be okay? You know, because I don't like harmony. So I said, don't worry. And I was thinking about the fans we have here, which are little, you say, just waft something in. Well, over there, I said, and cue the fan, and somebody snorted.
That's huge!
And my script pages went like this. And Eric went, and I said, what's the matter? And he literally, there was a leaf had gone in his eye, and it looked like, because he'd already got the green eyes in, and there was a leaf on top. Oh my God. Fortunately, he was fine about it, but you know, people say saying, "Oh, trust me, I'm a director," and then
yeah, all right. Like you did too.
How was that performance?
He was great. I mean, he was eccentric, I think, isn't he?
Eccentric's okay.
He was. I remember when he first came in. He looked at the costumes there. He said, "I can't do any of this. It's just ridiculous." And then he'd never seen the shows. And I said, "Well, come and see a few scenes cut together." And he did. And after that, he said, "Right, I get it completely." And then he went into it and really embraced it. And I think if I'd have asked him to wear a tutu and dance on Lake, he would have done it. He was so into it. And
Good actor.
he's really good, isn't he? He's very fun. He loved coming down the stage like Vincent Price.
He was dressing to the occasion.
Oh, he was dressing, yeah. I cannot, but it was, yeah. You know, he was good fun, really good fun.
Well, was there anything that you did to kind of prepare for the role?
Again, I refer you, what did they say in Prime Minister's questions? I refer you to the answer, the honourable member. There wasn't a lot of time, there was just no time. And it wasn't like you could just go back over 30 years or whatever it was then of mythology and no, very little.
And
very little. And I was nervous. I remember feeling really nervous. Once it really dawned that it was actually quite a responsible position, you know, despite its having been booted into the long grass 5 or 6 years earlier. You know, it was impressed. And I think that mainly Philip Segal. You know, he was very passionate, wasn't he?
Yeah.
About everything. And I really, when he's passionate in a way, made me more nervous. There's more at stake, yeah.
Yeah, you don't want to let him down.
I don't want to let him down, yeah. And he was, he put a lot of heart into it, real love into it. But it really, I think it was when Janet showed up on the set, Janet Fielding.
In terms of what people recognising her? Or?
Recognising her really quickly, then I thought, hang on, here we go.
There we go.
And did you have a sense of, if it had continued, what direction it would have been taken? Did they talk to you about any kind of future?
Only, again, with Philip, you know, Phil and I would sit there for hours. Not that I needed reassuring about those things, but, you know, in a way, films have a life of their own. But Phil was at pains to say to me, look, this is a pilot in the sense it has to, you know, it has a function to fulfill, to perform. The pilot will be one thing. Should we go to series, then you know, it'd be quite another. So wear that.
And did he
the wig on?
Did you give any more?
Don't complain. Yeah.
Did you give any more detail on that then, in terms of where he would have taken it?
Yeah, we sort of yacked about, you know, the character, and I was by which point I was really into it, because I was never a mad fan as a kid. I mean, I watched it, you know, like every other kid. There was only 3 or 4 channels, everybody saw it. I wasn't that well versed in it that I knew so much about it. But after a few hours with Philip, you know, I felt, and he gave me what he called the Bible. You know, he gave me this booklet and filled in as many of the gaps as he could for me. And we talked about ways, you know, the character, you know, things we might do in the first series, the second series. He might have just been humouring me, I don't know, but had it got made, yeah, we would have. Like, I know how I would have looked.
How would you look?
A lot like Eccleston.
Right.
So
you would have gone for a more contemporary feel?
That's what I wanted to look like. And of course, you know, I've said this before, you know, I had really short hair just on this soldier boy part. So my hair was like that long.
Yeah, it was like a skinhead, yeah.
I said, come on, Phil, you know, this can be a departure. And he was aghast when they made this, so they took this wig out of the box. So, and I wanted to wear a leather jacket, so I would have got there 10 years before Eccleston.
And
The bin man. That's how I wanted to look. No, but I was taken, you know, the idea that the character was, you know, partly a fugitive, you know, very much alone, very driven, very heartfelt, you know, and then Phil was describing the war situation, the time war thing. And it was captivating.
yeah.
And he really did, Phil really did sell me on the idea. Yeah, there.
And after it was complete, obviously, there was a massive amount of anticipation and a lot of training to do over here. I don't think the schedule was quite as kind over in America, the way it was scheduled, but certainly over here, it was a really big deal. And, you know, it kind of came, we saw it, everybody was excited, and then it kind of went. And what point did you realise it wasn't coming back? Did you get a call, or did you just, and how did that happen?
Was it that, I remember my agent called and said, here are the ratings. In a sense, you know, these are the results. You know, it's like waiting for you know, the results of a general election. You either make it or you don't.
The ratings were good though for you guys here, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Weren't they?
No, but over there where it mattered. I mean, you know,
In America?
isn't it true that you know the pilot was? We made the pilot primarily to get the thing off the ground in North America.
Yes, because I think that with that funding at the time, it would have helped, you know, to make the shows bigger, and
Yeah.
that was always the ambition, wasn't it, to actually take it and make it a lot more like that one, really.
Well, they aired it opposite the finale episode of Roseanne, the Roseanne show, which was enormous over there.
Yeah.
And that in that show, you know, Dan had a heart attack. It was like that, and that was the end of the show. So everybody was watching that, I know. And then there was also some like final basketball game on or something, you know, some big final something.
So in a way, it's
Sports.
a chance.
So it didn't stand a chance.
They didn't,
And,
they didn't repeat it.
And
around
yet,
the
it
world.
did well, from what I've also been told, and I could be wrong, but I've been told that with those two factors in place, I mean, taking that into consideration, we actually did pretty well as far as the ratings went. What I find fascinating whenever I do see the film is, and the more distance I get away from it, and come back and visit it again, I'm amazed at how much we got into the movie to tip our hat to the old series, bring out some new stuff, to play. Plus, you've got all the cooks in the kitchen. You've got Fox and Universal, then the BBC, and so all these kind of masters, forgive the pun, have to be served,
Yeah.
and just capture a lot of and also bring it into the future too. You
So,
know,
Geoff, were you? I mean, you know, in say, was there production meetings where, you know, it was. You were exhorted to try and get all this, you know, certain iconic
Tick in the
things
box,
in.
yeah.
Well, so that happened.
That did. I mean, that was Matthew really, because Matthew Jacobs, who wrote it, was another real fan. He knew everything about. So he wanted to get those references like the Jelly Babies and certainly the Sonic Special, all those things in. So they were kind of a given when I got the script. I think they were there. That's what we were
So, but presumably then there was. I mean, it was a tension, or it was a trade-off between trying to include these certain iconic things,
Yeah.
but for an audience that might not recognise them.
Yeah.
So you know, it was playing a slightly
Yeah.
a tightrope act, wasn't it?
I mean,
In a way, I you know, looking at the film even now, I think, and I think it did pretty well, but it's in a way it was trying to appeal to a new audience
yeah,
in North America,
yeah.
while also trying to remain interesting to people back home that had followed it for 30 years.
right.
And that's tough, isn't it? I mean,
Yeah.
that's a trick.
Yeah, maybe there was too much of an assumption that they would understand all those things, and it is. I mean, a police box coming down, which it's like, what the hell's going on?
What's
I
going
think
on?
that maybe we, you know, in hindsight, we may needed to. We should have set out our stall a bit more clearly. I don't know. I mean, I think.
I don't know.
I don't know.
I don't know. I have no real understanding of why it
Do you
is
think
done.
then there's you know, in a sense, the dual demands of having to, you know, appeal to both
Yeah.
the faithful and the...
You had to explain.
There was always a danger that it might fall between the two.
I guess there was really.
And perhaps in a way, partly that's what happened. But of itself, I think the idea was exciting.
Yeah.
You know, using time and using the New Year's Eve. It was a brilliant idea.
I thought it was wonderful. Yeah, I think it was so much fun. How on board, you all would know this, but was the BBC about bringing it back? Was this really, I mean, were they all the way? Because see, that's where I feel like there was maybe some...
I was in a way they were here to speak for themselves. I don't know.
I mean, my understanding was that they did want to bring it back. They were hoping it was going to kick started again.
Yeah.
Particularly, and Joe Wright, who was the executive producer.
Despite being only 5 or 6 years since it.
Yeah, I think so, because I think as you know, in the discussion, I thought people were really surprised when it was taken off, because it was like taking off Coronation Street almost.
Yeah.
And you know, that's why I thought, this is good, it's coming back. So, but I felt, from my understanding of my meetings with them, that they were behind it, and they did want it to come back. And I think it was just a bit disappointing when it wasn't picked up.
I mean, BBC did actually throw their weight behind it. It was like, no, Radio Times and you know, lots of like all the press stuff. And,
Yes.
I mean, it was a big deal. It was treated as a big deal, wasn't it? I remember that. I remember, you know, like accusing people at HMV to get a DVD and all that kind
It was
of
me
stuff.
signing. I was just saying, Paul, he decided not to go, so I had to sign about 350 copies of it. Do you? I stood outside, meet the doctor.
Oh, I felt terrible.
But yeah.
Well, if the phone, if in 2005 the phone had rung and Russell T Davies had said, no, come on board, would you have done?
What, instead of...
Yeah, well,
Chris,
yeah, right
at
at
that
the start
time?
that.
Yeah, I would.
Come back.
Yeah, I would. Because by that time, am I right, Nicholas? When did we start Big Finish? 2000, so yeah, there'd been quite a few years.
4 years, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I was well into it there. Oh yeah, I would have done, definitely, at that time.
Quite because there was an audience here, I mean, it was an enjoyable program. So I turned around and there you all are. So does anybody have a question they'd like to ask? Want to put your hand up, and we've got microphones on either side. You want to put your hand up? Okay, there's one, oh yeah, there's one on the very, very far side, everybody all over there. There's anybody on that side, getting that second one queued up. Anybody? We're also mesmerised. I've actually asked everything you've possibly wanted to ask. And we'll do the second one right in the very, very back row there. So first over here, yeah?
Thank you. Yeah, I'd like to ask Paul, when you came back to do the Big Finish, so about 4 or 5 years since you made the TV movie, what was your approach to getting back into character, and how much of how you didn't visualised or got into character for the TV movie, did you carry on with the audio? How much did you have to reset for the audios?
Well, I think the first thing we did with Big Finish was the Douglas Adams script, wasn't it? No, I'm wrong. You know what, for a time, Lord, my memory's shot. Was that, Jason, what was it?
Storm Warning.
Storm Warning.
Storm Warning, which was set on the R101, the airship, and that introduced you to Charlie.
But anyway, in answer to your question, it was pretty seamless. There was and I realised quite early on that with the audio adventures, quite a few of the ideas, without even my having to mention them or discuss, say, what Phil Siegel and I talked about years before, just appeared anyway. And I think that's continued, over the 10 years or so that we've been doing Big Finish. It's been a blast, that, because it's been, I'm telling you on a personal level, because it's meant that, I got to do the things in a way that I was denied when the partner went to see me. It's been great, that. Long may it continue. We had some more last week, in fact.
The very, very, very back over there. The microphone's just winging its way over to you.
I have a question for you, Paul McGann. When you were acting as the Doctor, did you feel you were part of the Doctor's life, or was it just another acting job for you?
A little bit of both. When you work as an actor, you can't be so into something that you completely get... you can't be that carried away that you you lose focus and control.